When you have special potatoes like these heirloom varieties, it's nice to be able to use them in a recipe that shows off some of their special features. The one we're using today is the all blue potatoes, and we're going to use them in a hot German potato salad. Now, we've modified the recipe from an original hot German potato salad to decrease the amount of fat that we have. So we've got onion sauteing in a nonstick pan, and we're going to that we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. Now, that was about 2/3 of a cup of onion. And we're also going to add half a teaspoon of salt, and you could add a little bit more if you choose. About 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and about 1/2 a teaspoon of celery seed to that. Now, in addition to that, we're going to stir that together just a little bit to blend the flour in. And then I'm going to add to that 2/3 of a cup of water. Blend that just a little bit. And then the one that you stand back for, about 1/4 plus 2 tablespoons of vinegar. 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons. Now you notice that this is German potato salad, so it does have vinegar added to it to give it a sort of sweet and sour. That's the reason for the sugar as well. Now the reason that I'm using this instead of some other varieties or methods with potatoes is that the all blue potato that we're using tends to lose some of that really pretty blue color as it sits. So I'm going to let this simmer for about 1 minute, and we'll stir it from time to time. But you notice that the potato itself is very pretty. In fact, my daughter, when we first brought them home and washed them up, she thought we were doing Easter eggs. The color on them is a really pretty royal purple. The inside itself is also a purpley color. It's tends to turn, as do other things that are purple. They tend to lose some of their color during cooking and tend to turn a little bit gray. Just like when you cook red onions, they will also lose some of that pretty color to them too. So if we add vinegar back to them, red cabbage is another example. People are often familiar with adding something to red cabbage that will be a sweet and sour item. And they'll notice that it turns blue, and then when they add the vinegar to it, they get all that really pretty color back. So we have the potatoes. This is about 1.5 pounds of the blue potatoes. Now normally blue potatoes would not work as well in this particular recipe as some of the other red potatoes would be, because they are a mealy variety of potatoes. Potato salads work best with varieties of potatoes that are waxy. So red potatoes and some varieties of white that give you a waxy feel work better because they don't fall apart nearly as much. Now we're going to stir this together. Notice on some of these you can see the color coming back to a really bright purple as it comes in contact with the vinegar. Now in addition to this, we're going to stir this together just fairly lightly, just to get it all blended together, and then we want it to warm up again. We cook the potatoes in their jackets. Now in addition to wanting to reduce the fat by doing that, we've also decreased the amount of bacon that came in the original recipe from 5 slices down to 3, and if you choose to do that even more, you could. I cooked these ahead in a microwave oven so that we reduced the amount of fat that was in the pan and we didn't have to clean it out afterwards. This would then have a cover put over it just to keep it warm until we were ready to serve it. Today, however, I'm just going to go ahead and put some cilantro on it. You could use parsley, just something to add a little bit of color to it. Again, you could use other varieties of things to give it a little bit of color. There are a lot of other varieties of potatoes that are available that Steve has shown you in that heirloom varieties. You can try to use your imagination. If you have red ones, white ones, and blue ones, perhaps a patriotic holiday would be a really good chance for you to show off all the different characteristics of those. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.